twist, and thank God I get to do another Raw recap and review. This one is from July 20th, 2026 in Detroit, Michigan. And every week I do a Raw recap and review, and every PLE we do a review for that. So if you enjoy WWE content like that, please subscribe to the channel for more. And we get the WWE 2K26 content on the channel as well. So make sure to join the channel for that as well. Now let's get on to the first segment of Raw. Now usually on Raw, we're starting off with some talking, but we're getting straight into the action with our first match of the night. We have Javon Evans with Dragon Lee versus the tag team champions in a non-title match, The Vision, Braun Breaker, and Austin Theory. And they get straight to it when they start the match. They don't even let the Vision get into the ring because they instantly hit a tope con hilo by Dragon Lee, right into a big suicide dive by Javon. They get him into the ring. Javon hit an instant big knee on the Theory. He tag in Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee get into the ring. Big drop kick on Theory. And then he goes for a pin on that. 1, 2, kick out from Theory though. Theory gets back up though. He gets a punch on Dragon Lee and then hits him with a spearing attacks right in the corner on Dragon Lee. But Dragon Lee, he whips Dragon Lee and then Dragon Lee hits him with a big Hurricanrana, knocking him down. He ends up tagging in Javon while holding Austin Theory. Javon gets the top rope, hits a big axe handle right down onto him, and then hits the bouncy Rana on Austin Theory. Theory is getting whooped. But that leaves Theory to then tagging in Braun. Braun gets into the ring. And they stop Javon. They hit him with a double team flapjack onto him. And then they hit him with a big, and then Braun gets a big throw suplex. Braun's then trying to fight Javon more, but Javon does a backflip to dodge him and then ends up tagging in Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee gets into the ring, hits him with multiple super kicks, and then hits the ropes and hits a front flip DDT right onto Braun Breaker, goes for the pin. 1, 2, kick out from Braun. That leads to shenanigans. Logan Paul has to get on to the apron to get distraction. But Dragon Lee still jumps off the top rope anyway and ends up getting caught by Braun Breaker right into a big slam, and it's how we get to on commercial break. Get back from the commercial break with Braun Breaker trying to land a spear on Dragon Lee, but that gets missed. And then Austin Theory tries to run towards Dragon Lee, but he olays him to the outside of the ring. You know what that means. Hot tag! Javon gets into the ring, big stupid punch on the Braun, and then he hits a super kick on the Theory, but he catches it, he drops it down. Dumbass, big punch on the Theory. That leads to him then dodging a punch by Theory into a kip up dodge right into a big stunner, and Theory's sale of the stunners kill him. He does the pop up flying all the way down onto his back, a W sail. That leads to them going to the outside of the ring. You know what that means. You know where we going. We outside. Big dive on the Austin Theory. And then that leads to then Braun Breaker trying to spear Javon near the barricade, but he olays him to over there. You know what that means. He runs around the ring, does the big dive on the Braun Breaker over the barricade. Then he gets into the ring. And then he gets into the ring by hitting a springboard clothesline on the Austin Theory. Goes for the pin. 1, 2, kick out from Theory. Then that leads to Javon putting Theory in the corner, tagging in Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee does the double stump from the corner. Nasty move on the Dragon Lee. But another distraction. Logan Paul leads us to Braun getting in the ring, hitting a big clothesline on Dragon Lee, and Theory picking up Dragon Lee and hitting a big suplex right on his knee. Nasty, goes for the pin. 1, 2, kick out from Lee. That leads them all getting into the ring. Braun hits a big spear on the Javon, and then that leads them to holding up Dragon Lee for the super spear. Boom! 1, 2, 3. Theory does the pin. Vision get the W. I give that match a 4.5 stars. Very fun, fast action. Perfect way to start off a Raw. They got straight to it. Crazy moves. But then the Vision are sore winners. They start beating up Javon and Dragon Lee, but the Alpha Academy pop out. Akira Tozawa and Otis, they come out and they whooping on them, man. They get him to the outside of the ring. Tozawa hits a big suicide dive on a Braun Breaker, and Otis in the ring hit a big, strongest slam on a Theory. That leads to Maxine Dupree getting in the ring and then slapping a taste out of Otis' mouth. But Otis said, I ain't worried about that. Clothesline on the Braun Breaker. Then he gets them both in the corner. Theory and Braun double splashes on the both of them. Then a big splash while they're next to each other, and then clotheslines Austin Theory to the outside. That leads to them trying to go to the announce table, trying to set it up. But as they're setting it up, Braun Breaker runs around to the outside and big spear on Otis. And then they get to Zaw in the ring. Theory hits a big elbow onto him, and then they hold up Otis for the big super spear. So it's looking like the Division are still running things. But later on the night, though, it announced that next week it's going to be Division versus Alpha Academy, so they can get their get back in. Love to see it. What a great way to start off Raw. Like, they should start doing this more often. Get us just right to the action. We get backstage, and we have the Judgment Day. JD McDonough, Dom Mysterio, and Liv Morgan holding Danhausen hostage, holding him at the wall like a high school bully, and saying, "Where's the money that they took from him?" He said, "Dan says, hey, if you let me go, I can go out and go find the money." So they let him go. A commercial break happens, and at least Danhausen then popping out to the crowd with the bag. He got the bag on him. And he gets into the ring. He says, he thought he would be done with the Judgment Day after he took care of them at Saturday Night's Main Event, which we have the review up. You can check out. But they still want the money. So he says, he got the money on him, but he don't want to get a Judgment Day to bread. He want to get the people to bread. And so the crowd obviously gets hype off of that, and that leads to the Judgment Day then popping up themselves and saying, all right, give us our money. We're not playing. Give us the money. Dan on the other side says, you are cursed. And then he tried to dip, and they said, you're not going nowhere. They catch that man. They start jumping that man, beating him back and forth. But say his name, and he appears. Joe Hendry pop out. He get into the ring. Grab JD, throw that man outside the ring. He grabbed Dominic, hit that man with a big fall away slam, and then clothesline that man to the outside. But as that's happening, Liv Morgan, using that noggin, goes over to the bag and steals the bag while they're all fighting. And that leads to the Judgment Day then dipping to the backstage. Then we get another commercial break after that, and we get backstage, and Adam Pearce is upset with both parties, saying, I'm tired of this money thing. This, we need to figure it out. And JD is upset talking to Pearce, and he throws the bag behind him. But what he doesn't know is that he hit Oba Femi. And Oba Femi said, JD, this your bag. He said, this Danhausen bag. But Danhausen said, but he threw it. He's the one that threw the bag. And so that means Oba's pissed. And Adam Pearce, you know what? Why don't we go settle this in the ring? We're going to have JD McDonough versus Oba Femi, and it's right now. And then Dominic Mysterio's like, hold on. That's not fair. You know what, JD? He said, you know what, Dom, you're right. Why don't you go have a match against Joe Hendry later on tonight? But then that leads on to our second match of the night very quickly, by the way. Like, we're getting straight to it. Like, I wonder who wrote this. This is an interesting Raw, like the way it started. But then we get into our second match of the night. It's Oba Femi versus JD McDonough. And Oba does his entrance first. He's in the ring. And JD and Dom, they don't want to come out. And Adam Pearce is basically making them go out. And then they stop in front of the ring. But that leads to Danhausen and Joe Hendry coming from behind, grabbing him and throwing him inside the ring. At least Oba, big clothesline on the both of them. He throw Dom outside of the ring, the bell ring. And JD gets a little couple strike combos on the Oba. But he knows so all that. That leads to JD running. But he's running towards Oba. Big back body drop. Slam. Right. He does the perfect back body drop, too. Like, he be full rotation and everything. Then I leaves him in the corner. Elbows. He grabbed him for the back. Pause. Then he grabs him for the throw suplex. Throw that man right into the fall from grace. 1, 2, 3. Oba. To be honest with you, is there any rating? I didn't even write a rating in my notes for it. Like, this is just a super squash match just to have a super squash match. And it's funny, after the match, he says, it's enough of all this money business, this nonsense. The real money is at SummerSlam with Brock. My accent is awful, by the way. I'm not really trying, that's why. But then he, big aura farms. There's the little aura farm all in the ring. So that was cool to see. They had to get the little pop for the crowd. Pop for the crowd, man. But then we get to our other segment. After that, Solo Sikoa. He's popping out, and he wants Seth Rollins to come out because he has a big proposition to offer to him. That he's hearing, burn it down. Seth pop out. And he says, since you're new, since this isn't your place, I would like to welcome you to Monday Night Rollins. Gets hyped from the crowd. He says, since this is my show, what can I offer you? Like, do you want to? Are we talking right now, or are we fighting? And at least the Solo saying, hold on, I'm here to talk. I'm not here for no fighting. I'm not here for no fighting. He says, the reason I'm here is that when you're fighting Roman, you're not fighting 1-on-1. You're fighting the bloodline. You're fighting 401. You're dealing with Jacob, Jimmy, and Jay. And he says that he knows exactly what they're gonna do because he was a part of it. And he tells them that he wants to watch Seth's back at SummerSlam. And Seth's like, you make good points about the bloodline and everything, but working with Solo could help him a lot. But he wants to just go back and think about it. And he starts to leave the ring. And Solo said, hold on. Shoot. He stops him. And Seth's like, what you grabbing my arm for? He said, hold on. It ain't nothing to think about. Like, if you don't take his help, you're going to lose. He said the same way you helped Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, I can be that shield for you. I can help you beat Roman Reigns. And at least the Jacob Fatu popping out. And he instantly gunning for Solo, but Solo instantly dips outside the ring. And at least Seth then super kicking Fatu when he turns around. And Fatu falls down to the ground. And Seth leaves. But Fatu doesn't attack him. He just gets up and smiles. I wonder what's going on. Usually Fatu, he don't go. He all gas, no breaks with it. Yada I mean. Then we get into our last match of this part one. Yes, part one. I do these Raw recap reviews in part ones and part twos. And that is the match. And this match is a can they coexist match with Penta and Chad Gable, who are going to be fighting each other at SummerSlam for the IC title against Rusev and Ethan Page. And a lot like the first tag team match tonight, we're instantly getting into it. They brawl right in the ring, and at least with Rusev and Ethan getting advantage by Ethan hitting the assisted big boot onto Penta. He goes for the pin off of that. Kick out from Penta, though. He ends up tagging in Rusev. Rusev gets into the ring. They hit a big double suplex on the Penta. 1, 2. Kick out from Penta again, though. But at least the Rusev now taking advantage. He grabs up Penta. He Irishes him to the corner. Hits him with a big splash. And then he tags in Ethan Page again into the ring. They try to do a assisted Irish whip move on the Penta, but Penta reverses it by kicking him off away from him, and then he runs past him to get the little tag in. Chad Gable at the top rope. It's a big double clothesline onto them, and then into a slam on Ethan Page by Chad Gable, but on the other side of the ring, on the apron, Rusev does a big on the other side of the ring. Penta tries to go for the Mexican Destroyer on the apron on the Rusev, but Rusev reverses that into a back body drop. Penta hits his back straight on the apron. He goes to the outside and then grabs him and then throws him to the steel steps. And that's how we get to our commercial break. We get back from the commercial break with Rusev trying to land a big standing splash on the Penta, but that gets reversed by Penta. And Penta gets up, hits a super kick on the Rusev, goes to the top rope, hits a big top rope crossbody, leads to a double down. Know what that means? Hot tag! Chad Gable gets into the ring. Big strike on the Ethan. Hits a rolling thunder kick on the Rusev while he's trying to leave. And then it's a big 2 German suplexes on the Ethan Page. Rusev tries to run in and get involved, but he grabbed that man. Big throw belly to belly suplex. And then to another big German suplex on the Ethan. Then he hit that man with the angle slam. He really is this generation's Kurt Angle because he be cooking. Goes for the pin. 1, 2. Kick out from Ethan, though. Then at least him trying to get more Kurt Angle moves going on. He goes to the top rope for a moonsault, but that gets dodged by Ethan Page, and Ethan tries to do a move on Gable, but that gets reversed. That leads to a big tag. That leads to Rusev and Ethan in the ring, knocking down Gable, and then Gable gets Irish whipped into Rusev. He hits him with a big spinning slam, knocks him down. Goes for the pin. 1, 2, but Penta's soccer kick stopping the pin. That was a nasty way to stop the pin, by the way. That leads to Penta then grabbing Ethan Page, throwing him outside the ring, hitting that man with a tope con hilo, which is basically a swanton bomb, front flip over the top rope. And then at least throw Rusev and Gable in the ring, and boo, yeah, boo, yeah, boo, yeah. And to Rusev knocking down Gable, locking him in the accolade. But Gable gets the fire. He gets up. He gets up. But as he's getting up, Rusev knocks him back down, picks him up, throws him into the corner, knocking Penta off the top rope, and then he drops him down back into the accolade. But nope, Gable slides his way out of it, puts him into the ankle lock. He's wrenching on his ankle, and at least Ethan Page trying to get into the ring, but Penta jumps off of Chad Gable's back into a Mexican destroyer on the Ethan. Nasty. Rusev got no choice but to tap off the ankle lock. That's over. Penta and Gable get the win. W coexisting. I give that match a 4-star. Great back and forth. Good action. I'm really excited to see Chad Gable versus Penta. I think they're gonna be like one of the matches. Like they're gonna be like match of the night for sure when it comes to SummerSlam. But I wonder how long this Ethan Page Rusev thing is gonna last. I'm pretty sure Ethan is gonna betray him pretty soon because they're not gonna win no tag titles now. Come on now, we know that. But that is going to be the end of part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to know what happens to the main event of Raw, you gotta click part 2, man. It's gonna be up here somewhere, man. But remember, y'all, Jesus loves you. Now watch part 2.